If we're going to be talking about integrity, then we need to remember that integrity is undermined by conflicts of interest and concentrations of power.
Once you're deemed to be a misbehaving councillor, you're then sent to an internal arbitration process.
The arbitration panel and the arbitrators have no requirement for proper rules of evidence. Everything is decided on the opinion of the arbiter. Complaints can be based on somebody taking offence. There is nobody here that would survive if that standard was applied.
There's no sense of natural justice or open justice, so I don't believe that someone else's opinion and what they think should be the outcomes.
We've got cases that look extremely biased already. We've got Councillor Jasmine Hill at Wyndham, suspended for months despite no concrete evidence of the claims made against her ever being produced. Councillor Susan Bissinger at Mornington Peninsula, where the CEO publicly announced that she had been banned from talking to council staff and then refused to even tell her why. When she made a guess in public as to why, she was suspended. Former councillor Stephen Hughes from Frankston Council, who was suspended on the basis that he made negative comments about the performance of council. I would have thought that was part of his job. Councillor Daria Callender from Hobsons Bay was suspended for explaining in an internal email to other councillors that she felt uncomfortable participating in a closed-door meeting that she thought would unduly influence the outcome of the mayoral vote. Unbelievable. And then Mayor Briffa was declared guilty of misconduct for naming and defaming me, as it happens, and she received no sanction whatsoever at all. She was not even required to apologise or take those publications down, and yet Councillor Vandenberg from Melton City Council was found guilty of exactly the same kinds of things against every single other councillor there. She was forced to apologise and suspended for a month. Where is the standard of treatment? That's completely biased. Councillor Melissa Ferguson at Latrobe City Council was forced to make a ridiculous apology simply for asking questions about where public bushfire recovery funds had gone, and then she was suspended and required to apologise for retweeting a post privately about concerns about a person who is now being investigated for pedosadism.
It's claimed that I'm now a transphobe, which is utterly ridiculous.
It incentivises the misuse of the arbitration process.
Does the person who bring this against you, do they have to fork out any money or ratepayer funded?
All the ratepayers' money.
Defending yourself against a complaint requires a huge personal financial impost. That is absurd. That is bad legislation.
To total now with the arbitrations by the same applicant, it's been $50,000 of our local ratepayers' money.
These totally biased arbitration processes are ultimately made public. So the psychological distress about defamation and having your career ruined privately and in the sector are real.
But that is the experience I've had. I have been shamed and humiliated. It's been put through the press.
Ministers have a conflict of interest when they get to decide the fate of other democratically elected representatives. That's just outrageous. What a terrible, terrible law this is.
I've got grave concerns. Having been through this process, I have described it as a Soviet system many times.
This is not a dictatorship, and this government needs to start having some respect for the fact that we are actually a democracy. What councillors need actually is more individual powers. They need legislated rights to demand information from their council so that they can do their job. They need protection from spurious, subjective complaints being made by petty, ridiculous people who don't understand public service. That's what this bill should have done. The fact that this government over here, this Labor government...
The Red Shirts rort saw Labor use taxpayer money to spruik their party ahead of the 2014 election.
Altogether, they spent about $1 million bitterly fighting all the way to the High Court to prevent an independent investigation of the Red Shirts' rort, abuse of public funds. And that tells us all we need to know about this government's attitude toward taxpayers' money and genuine accountability. And this is just a disgraceful bill, and I condemn it.